Good morning, everybody. All right, guys. Um, I have just started watching Game of Thrones. I know. I'm late. But I had thought there was just it was too dark or way too much violence, and I just wasn't interested. But I started watching it a couple weeks ago, and I think I'm up to season 4 or 5. I've lost track. And that's where I get my heading. Winter is coming. So yeah, I'm all in Game of Thrones now. I have the lingo. I talk about it when I'm in my office. My assistants look at me like I have no 9 heads and I'm crazy. But yeah, I'm all about Game of Thrones now. But what I mean by winter is coming is this. There was a Supreme Court opinion or a ruling by the Supreme Court indicating that the federal moratorium on evictions was unconstitutional. And so the federal government was not in the place or in the business of doing that action. Um, it's my understanding that in some states they have resumed foreclosure proceedings, meaning that they've started filing the complaints. The process has resumed again, even though in many of the states as well, there is no eviction that can happen before the beginning of next year. Now, we operate and we practice in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. If you have a free consultation, if you want a free consultation, of course, and you live in those states, give us a call, 866-96-GM-LAW. The number is right there. So, a lot of these programs are ending, and my question to you and the questions to all the clients that I'm meeting with is, what are you going to do? I mean, what is your preparation for the next step? If you're participating in these programs, they're ending, so what's your plan? Gotta have a plan, right? Because winter is coming. And so for those of you who are in apartment buildings or you rent and you haven't been paying the rent for a while and you don't have the amounts to bring the lease current, you're going to leave. I'm not here to tell you fairy tales. Life is just too short. You are going to leave. Now, you can file a Chapter 7 and get all the debt related to that lease and any other debt you have discharged or forgiven or whatever word you want to use. You can get rid of them. And the question I usually get when I say file a 7 and get rid of it is, how am I going to get another apartment? And my response to that is, okay, you're going to a landlord, right? And you're trying to rent from this landlord. And you're this person with all this debt relating to your old lease and all your other debts. Or you're this person who filed for a Chapter 7 and got all the debt released or forgiven or discharged. Who is the landlord going to rent to? Is he going to rent to the person that's bogged down with debt and so possibly have no disposable income to pay him his or her rent? Or he's going to rent to the person who filed a Chapter 7, got all the debt discharged, so whatever money they have now, they can use it to pay their rent. Who is he or she gonna rent to? That's what you have to think about. That you gotta go guerrilla. You gotta go gangsta. You gotta go however you wanna, whatever you wanna call it. But you have to make the best business decision for you and your family. So you're gonna do what you're going to go by any legal means necessary to save you and your family financially. So you're in an apartment building. You can't apartment. You can't pay the payment. You can't come up with a back rent to make the lease current. What do? File a 7, get rid of all the debts you owe, and start your new life fresh. Now, there are some situations where, you may be behind a month or two on the lease. You were probably temporarily unemployed, and you had a situation where your money got funny, but it was for a temporary, a very short period of time. You can afford to stay in the apartment, but you just need some time to catch up on that back rent. Now, you can file a 13 and do that. You can file a Chapter 13, go back to paying the regular rent, but you're going to pay off the amount you're behind over a 2 to 5 year period, depending on what state you're in. I think in New Jersey it's 2 years. In Pennsylvania it may be 5, but you have 2 to 5 years to catch up on the rents you're behind. So you have that option. Now, many of you also are in a position where your utilities are being shut off, or you have large, exorbitant amounts owing on your electric bill, your internet, your whatever it is, gas, whatever it is. You have the right to file a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13 and get those debts eliminated. You can eliminate them. Absolutely. If you're in a position, and I've done this over the years, where your utility has actually been turned off, once you file your bankruptcy case, you will find that the utility company actually comes out and turn it back on. So again, guys, know your rights. A lot of these programs are ending. Know your options. Don't have anyone scare you out of exercising your options. Then we've talked about rent, we talked about utilities. Now we're talking about homes. Now, the forbearance program, it has, for some of the lenders, it has ended or is ending. If you've exercised and you took their offer to enter into a forbearance agreement for your mortgage, the question becomes, okay, now what? At this point, you're doing one of two things. You're either filing a Chapter 13 to catch up on the mortgage payments you've missed because the bank hasn't offered you a modification, or you're negotiating a modification with the bank. Now, loan modifications will come back in vogue, meaning you're going to get bombarded with all kinds of people offering you services regarding modifications. My office have been doing modifications before we even called it that. And we've continued to do them. But we're not here to lie to you. A modification is up to the bank. You have no legal right to a modification. I don't care who said what. I don't care what anybody else has said to you. You have no legal right to a modification. It's completely up to the bank. Now, why would someone hire my office or hire anyone? You hire people so that you get a decision. That's it. But we have no control. Nobody has any control over what the decision will be. Now, I like to do modifications inside of a Chapter 13 because it gives me a little bit more leverage in terms of negotiating and in terms of getting the bank to give you a more favorable result. And the reason is when you do a modification and you file a Chapter 13, now the bankruptcy court is involved, you have a bankruptcy judge, you have a bankruptcy trustee, and having those two entities, those two individuals involved means there are more eyes looking at the bank. Excuse me. There are more eyes. And what that means for you is if the bank says no, right? Excuse me, I have a frog. If the bank says no, the bankruptcy court can't force them to give you the modification, right? They can't force you. They can't force the bank, but they can ask the bank why. And banks traditionally don't like that. They don't like have to account to anyone for their decisions. And if you're in bankruptcy court, they have to. If the judge hauls them into court and say, okay, tell me why this debtor doesn't qualify for any of your programs, they have to tell them why. And when you're on your own, they don't have to do that. And traditionally, they don't. So because they don't like being questioned by the bankruptcy court in the bankruptcy court system, they tend to fly right. We do modifications also outside of a bankruptcy, but our clients are clear. And if anybody tells you anything else, they're lying to you. Our clients are clear. We can't force the bank to do anything. What we're going to do is we're going to provide them with every piece of information that they need to make a decision. But we have no control over what the decision will be. It's like you're up for a murder charge and you have a jury. We're defending you on this murder charge. We are going to plead your case as best as we possibly can using every tools available to us to make sure there is a not guilty verdict. But we have no control over what happens when the jury goes into that jury room. It's the same concept. We're going to do everything we can, but we have no control over the result. So when you're hiring us, you're not hiring us for a result. You're hiring us so that we make sure you have every tool available to you. We submit every document. We have made every possible argument to get you the most favorable result. But again, we have no control over the result. And if you have someone who is telling you and who is guaranteeing you a result, run. You hear me? Run. Because nobody can guarantee you a result. So I'll wrap up with this. I haven't been on live for a while because my mom is battling ovarian cancer, and I went going back and forth between North Carolina and here. And thank you so much of you who listen to my radio show and you send out your prayers and you put her on the prayer group and all the good vibes you guys sent out. I appreciate that. I mean, she was in a really bad round in the last week or two, and it looks like she came out, she won this round. So it's been a 2.5-year battle, and my younger sister is her primary caretaker. And I mean, I just don't know how she does it, but she's there with my mom and fighting with my mom every round. And, you know, again, all the prayers and good wishes and good vibes you guys have been sending me. I truly, truly, truly appreciate it. But back to the issue at hand, guys, again, winter is coming. The federal programs are ending. What are you going to do? You got to have a plan. You got to use the tools available to you. If you need to file a bankruptcy, bankruptcy is not just for companies and past presidents. It's for you as well. Exercise your right, save yourself, eliminate your debt, save your property. If you need a loan modification, they're going to come back into that whole term is going to come back into vogue again. Of course, my office, we work in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. We're more than happy to help you with those two things, be it a modification or a bankruptcy. But where modifications are concerned, go in clear-eyed. You're not entitled to anything. The bank, the decision as to give you a modification or not is completely up to the bank. And if someone offers you loan modification services and they're guaranteeing you a result, run. Run, because they're not being honest with you. But I will see you again, same great time, same great place next week. And as they say in my country, walk good. And I'll talk to you all next week. Oh, free consultation, 866-96-GM-LAW, 866-96-GM-LAW. If you want to follow us, if you want to contact us via internet, go to georgettmillerlaw.com. Talk to you all next week. Bye-bye.